grab a couple steaks out of the fridge.
That's a lot of meat.
What can I say? I like my protein.
My name is Dan Wilson, and my film is entitled Meat Deux. It's one of three meat films. I had written one script and a bunch of drafts, and I didn't know which one I liked best, so I decided to shoot three of them in one weekend. And Meat Deux is the one that got chosen for the festival. It's a couple coming together over their mutual love of meat.
So you shot all three in one weekend?
Yes.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
They're all around like I think 5 minutes or 7 minutes, like
Yeah,
that.
they're in the 5 to 7 minute range.
Yeah. All in the same location?
Same location, same two actors playing different characters.
I found it very, very interesting because one of the, not the opening shot, but one of the early shots is her frying meat. And there is an anatomy book in the background, and that grabbed my attention right away. Can you explain the fascination with the meat between the two actors and why it progressed?
Yeah.
If you want to elaborate a little bit more on the themes you're using.
Yeah, definitely. That black comedy is definitely my niche. I just love just weird black comedy. I thought it was, when I started writing it, the first thing that came to mind was a couple. I thought of a couple that were getting together for dinner, and then they decided that they didn't have enough to eat, so they started eating each other. So it quickly devolved into cannibalism. And I kind of took that sensibility and ran with it for all of the versions of it. And some of them were darker than others. Some of them were more comic. Everything was with this unspoken undertone that there was going to be something that you didn't want to know about happening.
This is perfect.
Thank you. I like to think I know a thing or two about meat.
How'd you come by that knowledge?
My father was a butcher. I used to help him in his shop.
It's a good skill to have.
Do you know what he taught me?
What's that?
He taught me the value of a good, sharp knife.
What was your thoughts on each film kind of taking place in a different timeline? It felt, because the second one had like a 50s vibe, you know. Was there an approach to that?
Yeah, I worked with my art director and production designer Tanya Taylor, and one of the things that we really wanted to do was, since the scripts are very similar and we were using the same location and the same actors, we wanted to bring something visually to each film that would set it apart, and try and put some unique spin on that version of the story that would differentiate it from the other ones. So in one, the couple was really playful. In the other one, from the first scene that someone's going to have something happen to them. You just don't know how it's going to play out. And yeah, so we just kind of played with those variations a little bit to just see what we could get.
Yeah, you have a great sense of fatalism throughout the whole second one too, where it's like, you know what's going to happen once you see it, but and I don't want to still give anything away, but let's talk about your actors. I've never seen these two before. Where'd you find them? Are they in the area?
Yeah, I went to the Rock Agency because I wanted to try and get some people that I hadn't seen before, because Milwaukee's a pretty small town and a lot of the people are acting and everything. So I went through an agency. They lived in Madison, and I was really interested in her look, and I had her and Emma and Sam read together, and it was magical. I suddenly had all these just things flood into me about how I could direct them, how they could work together, and they were really good at playing off each other. So I just right away I went and offered them the roles because they were so good at it.
What's the names of your lead actors?
Emma Janellis plays the woman, and Sam Zwick plays the man.
And they shot all three in a day too with you. You didn't change actors in any of them.
Correct. Yeah. They were the same actors on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We shot one on Friday, one on Saturday, one on Sunday. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
And they must have got tired eating a lot of meat after that weekend.
Yes. Yes, it was very interesting. There was a lot of meat around on the set.
Let's talk about your crew. Who helped you make it?
I got in touch with Rob Yeo at UWM and asked them to just put a notice out in the department, and I got about 5 or 6 film students from UWM, and they were all fantastic. Everyone that I worked with was just really great, really professional, had a really good sense of what they were doing. The sound people were just amazing. I had to do very little training or coaching with them. They just kind of knew what was going on. So that I felt worked really well. It wasn't, I don't like working with the same people over and over again. I like to, have my core crew, but then kind of spread the wealth among other people and try and get other people involved. And I think this worked really well for that.
So let's discuss your history here in Milwaukee. How long have you been a writer-director?
I have been writing longer than I can remember and directing since probably the mid 80s, early 90s.
We've known each other for a long time. You used to run the Milwaukee Independent Film Society. What's your passion in filmmaking? I mean, what got you into it?
I think the biggest thing that I really enjoy about filmmaking is the collaboration. I like the idea. I'm very much into the process, and I like the idea that I can write a script, I can hand it off to a director of photography. They're going to bring a look to it that I may have never figured out on my own. I pass it to the art director, and I get a prop selection that I never could have conceived of. I hand it to the editor, and the sequence and the pacing takes on an entirely different tone than I had anticipated when writing it. And I like how you can get a bunch of creative people in a room. They all bring their own stamp to something and make it better than the sum of its parts. And I just really enjoy that process and watching it happen.
Great. What's next for you?
Coincidentally, I am working on a short film called It's Not About the Bacon. And it just so happened that I wrote a script with a friend of mine that happened to be about bacon. So that's I'm in post-production on that right now, hoping to finish that up probably sometime in the next couple months here.
Great.
And so I'll probably be submitting that for next year.
What was your budget on meat for this one?
On the meat alone, I would say was about $300.
Yeah, I kind of thought that after watching all three of them.
Yeah, and it's like we bought a couple of really good cuts for the hero cuts, and then a lot of the ones that we were just frying up were just really awful, bad cuts of meat that no one would ever want to eat, but they look great frying in a pan.
When you shot all three of these, we only picked one. Where can viewers or people coming to the festival see the other two?
That is a great question that I do not have an answer to, because I'm right now I'm submitting them to festivals, seeing what gets picked up. I'm not streaming them anywhere because that disqualifies me from a bunch of festivals. So I'm hoping that once they go through the festival circuit, I'll be able to get them up on my website, which is www.bartolifilm.com.
So people should check out your website periodically to see if
it's a very sparse website right now. It's just the homepage, but eventually there's going to be something fun there. So,
well, thank you very much for doing this today.
Glad to be here.